I'm Helen. Today we're gonna talk about the courage to communicate, rebuilding and building connection in marriage. Okay, so this is my family. I have two kids. One is 11 and the other one is 13. And I have been married with my husband for 15 years. And recently we had a puppy dog. So so this year I celebrate 15 years of marriage and we had the chance to actually went to New York for 2.5 weeks. So as an entrepreneur, 2.5 weeks off is really hard things to do. But how many of you are married here? How many married for more than 15 years? Yeah, so you guys are more expert than me. So I'm not here to share as a marriage expert or a relationship coach. So I'm sharing as part of my story of courage here. I'm also founder and creative director of Rosette Designs. Decor. So it's a wedding planning and event company for 12 years. So for 12 years, I've been dealing with couples, in and out couples every day. So far, we have about more than 800 couples. So I always believe that everyone has a cause or burden in our heart. And for me, relationship is my burden. Relationship and marriage is my cause, which is translated in my work also. Perhaps it's because I grew up in a thriving marriage. My parents, although they are not divorced, they didn't divorce, but every day when I growing up, they always quarrel. I know when they quarrel, right, as a little child, I see them quarrel. I remember that maybe when I was 5 and 6, I saw them quarrel and I think to myself, maybe if I die, they will stop quarreling. So I feel very alone growing up, although I have 3 siblings, so 4 of us. But when we talk about our childhood, we always feel alone, like we are alone in this. So that is the impact of growing up in thriving marriage. So not only that, it's also translate into a calling. And the vision for my company is to create memorable weddings for lasting marriages for the next generation. And the next generation is not for jargon, but because I was children that impacted because of my parents' marriage. So recently also I just talked to one of my staff. She come out from IMH after overdose on sleeping pills because she couldn't take the burden of her mother's going through a second divorce. So knowing that our marriage really affects our children. So yes, we're gonna learn on how to build trust and build connections through communication. First, we're gonna talk about the power of choice and communication and connection, the common mistake of marriage, and we're gonna talk about my personal journey and how I navigate the storm. And we have takeaway and reflection. So the first topic is the power of choice. Every relationship starts with a choice. Again, how many of you are married? I hope none of you were forced into marriage. Or for many of you are thinking of marriage or maybe wishing one day you will. No, nobody? Okay, everybody's shy. It's okay, it's okay. So this is not just only for marriage's sake, but you can think about the relationship that you have, the closest relationship that you have, perhaps with your loved ones, your maybe mother or even your best friend. It could be for everyone because communication is the heartbeat of connection. Every relationship starts with a choice. So think back of what are the factors that influence you to choose your spouse. Could be personal values, physical and emotional attractions, same life goals and vision, religious belief, family background, and past experience. Perhaps you met somebody and then you don't really gel with this kind of personality and you choose the other one, past experience. Then social expectation and emotional connection and self-worth. So these are factors that influence how you choose a spouse. Or if you're thinking of next time you want to have a partner, then which are the factors that will influence you in the future? So the most important decision you will ever make is who you marry. This is Warren Buffett word. It's not my word. Yes, it's this part investment. Yeah, this investment guy. He had investment guru and he mentioned this. So marriage really brings out the worst and the best in you. So choosing someone who can show grace and true commitment is the key. And also, advocate my couple. If you want to choose someone, choose the one that maybe has the same value with you. It's easier in the long run. Again, every choice brings consequences. So I met this couple. They have been married for 40 years, but they have a troubled marriage. Then she told me that actually from the get-go, she knows that she married a wrong one. But does it stop there? You already make a choice and there's a consequences. But will you doom to have a bad marriage? Actually depends on how do you do the communication. But the healthier the communication, the stronger the relationship. But if you, even though you marry a perfect person, that quote-unquote perfect, but if you have avoidance assumption, it will lead into pain, conflict, and even betrayal. So your marriage is as strong as your communication. Your relationship is as strong as your communication. And communication is the lifeline of a marriage. So what is the common mistake in marriage? First is poor communication, or taking each other for granted, lack of emotional and physical intimacy, and also unrealistic expectation. Financial conflict and secrecy, especially in terms of how do you use your money. Money is also one of the reasons why people end up in divorce or even quarrel, and avoiding conflict or resolving it fully. So when we see all this, right, it boils down to communication. It is really the heartbeat of connection. But when we talk about communication, it's not just about talking, but it's about connecting. This is a famous researcher in marriage, John Gottman. He is famously declared that he can predict within 5 minutes which couple will divorce in 5 years within 90% accuracy. So he has proven, data-driven, proven that by just looking at how they interact when they fight, right, when handling conflict within 5 minutes, they can determine this couple will divorce in 5 years. And especially when they show contempt, disguise, belittling when they talk. I mentioned communication is not the same as talking. It's actually deeper than talking. It's connecting emotionally, being heard and being understood. So it's based in mutual respect, empathy, clarity, and emotional safety. You feel safe being together. Sadly, although you marry this person, maybe sometimes you don't feel safe to share. Then probably you share with other people. So how do we get connection? It is a result of vulnerable communication. So this one can also applies to other relationship that you have, not just in a marriage relationship or romantic relationship, but also be your friend or your parents or even your loved ones. First, we need courage. Courage to communicate. It is the most important of virtue because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue. This is the word of Maya Angelou. So again, this is the woman of courage Asia, right? So courage is number one. Courage to even step up here. Courage even just now you step up here. It is really like a virtue. And because of the courage, then we can be authentic. So what is authenticity? It is really showing up as yourself. Like, this is who I am. As a type 3, that's how you say Enneagram, type 3 personality. If type 3, we always want to appear perfect, want to have self-image. So being authentic, it's hard. Especially hard, especially I'm standing here like everybody's judging me, but how am I talking? So it's very hard to be authentic. But because of courage and because I want to show up as who I am, connect, that's authenticity. And the third one is vulnerable. So vulnerable is the result of being authentic. And authentic is the result of being courageous. So you see, it's all three linked together. And only then you can have a meaningful communication or meaningful connection with whoever you connected, which is why I love this group. But the moment you click here, although we don't know each other, but I see all these faces, it's like my sister. We like the sisterhood that I never have. Just now we were talking about a connection. So what blocks deep communication? First is unspoken expectation. For example, this is quite common for female, right? I spoke with a girl, they say she's complaining why her husband never give her flower during Valentine's Day. But I know the fact that when the first year they got married, the husband gave the flower, but she said, oh, you waste money, don't give me. Then after that, the subsequent year, then he thinks that he wastes money. Let's stop, the flower stop. And she still expects that. So unspoken expectation. Second is fear of vulnerability or judgment. Fear of being vulnerable. Taking care of ourselves, saying that I need help, I'm hurt. So that blocks the communication. Fear of rejection or dismissal. Fear that if I say this, will my husband reject me? Will she even care? Then we always dismiss ourselves. Okay, I'm okay. And then the fourth one is past hurt left unresolved. This is actually a common problem among marriage. Like I think Lilia shared that her husband likes her, and first she thinks okay, and then he thinks it's funny. After a while, it gets so irritated, and then he just keep quiet. But one day, it just blew up, and then the husband was like, "Where did that come from?" He thinks like you're just being overreacted, but it's because there's a lot of things past hurt and left unresolved, and then also defensiveness and blame. So this is maybe I have this because my husband always say you are inconsistent, always changing at last minute, and I always feel like I want to defend myself, like the defensive go up. Then when we defend, right, then the communication stops. There's no continuity because it say I'm not like that. I have my reason. This is my reason. Then the communication stops. So that blocks the communication. And then the lack of emotional vocabulary. We always say that I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm good. That's it. Or I'm angry. So we lack emotional vocabulary to describe how actually we feel. And the last one is busy and distracted lives. And this busy and distracted life, I think we live in Singapore where everything is so fast-paced and we just left defending our time. It's very precious. So maybe our husband will take the back burner. So knowing all this, what does it benefit us? Because awareness empowers you with a choice. So when we are aware of where are we in our state of communication and where are we in our relationship with our loved ones, we can make a choice. We can choose to improve. So this is where I want to share my story. Common mistakes, right? Like just now you see my picture with my husband. Looks like perfect. Looks like, oh, everything is good, like wonderful. 15 years of marriage, just went for a big honeymoon. And it looks like matchmake in heaven. True, it really true matchmake in heaven. Because the story, how I decided to even marry my husband is because back then, 2006, I'm from Indonesia. So that time I am deciding whether I should stay in Indonesia or go back to Singapore. So during the church service, I was like praying, okay, which side do I need to go? I need to decide. Then beside me was a guy that my friend whom I rejected a few months ago. And then on the other side is my friend from Indonesia that just came and he is visiting our church. So I have two sides and I didn't talk about anything. But during the service, I heard a voice, stay in Singapore with the one beside you. Oh, wow. Exactly. Which one? But I know which one. My first reaction is like, I turned to my friend, my Indonesian friend, and say, I think I heard God told me that this. And his first reaction is, not me, yeah. Not me. But I know it's not you. Then I look at him, oh my God. But I didn't say anything because I rejected him and we didn't speak after the rejection for months. Then that night he called me. He seems very troubled during the service. Oh my God, I was like, oh my goodness, I have to tell him. Oh. But okay, cut the story short. He is really the perfect person for me. So you see, it's really matchmake from heaven. It's like a perfect person. Because that is my prayer when I was young. I don't want to marry wrong. But guess what? Even though you marry right, you marry everything, tick the box. But if you don't do the communication part, half the battle won. What happened for me is 3 years ago, I discovered one big truth about my marriage that is really crashing and it's devastating. I wouldn't say what it is, but it's the worst you can imagine in the marriage. So that leaves me with choice. Like, what do I do with it? It's really heartbroken. And then this is where I want to bring you to my journey. What did I do to come out from here? And the fact that I'm still married, that there's something that we did, like just now you say a common mistake in marriage. I did the first, for communication, because I assume my marriage is perfect, right? I'm matchmade from heaven. I don't need to work on my relationship. So into personal development and so into all other things. But when it comes to relationship in YouTube, skip. You don't need to work on my relationship. So no days, night, no nothing. Just life goes on. Busy with each other. And taking each other for granted. And lack the emotional and physical intimacy. Maybe currently in your relationship, you can relate to this. Maybe your marriage is not really, really bad, or your relationship is not really devastating. But it's like going to a slow death. Like we don't really get intimate anymore. It's like a roommate, right? We feel like we are just getting this both of household together, like a roommate. And probably you want something to change. So the damage has been done and challenges are there. What did I do next? First, I take ownership. I acknowledge that there's part of me, there's a role that I've played that made it happen this way. And I stop blaming, I start reflecting. It is very hard at the beginning because it's easy to blame the other party. Oh, like he did it exactly, like it's blatantly wrong, right? Then it's not my fault. And if we stop here, there's no other continuity. You need to start reflecting. So I need to take ownership first and start reflecting. Then I decide to commit to get help and to move on. And I surround myself with people with hope, which is this community of women that I met. Lian and some other friends here are so pillar of strength for me. And disclaimer, it takes two to tango, it takes two hands to clap. The other party also need to want to change. I understand that sometimes the other party don't want to change, and then what can you do? And then you cannot do anything because you cannot change them. So in this case, I am blessed that both of us decided to really work it out, and we come to the third part, which is we commit to vulnerable conversation. We have a third party, which is professional counselor, trauma, PTSD counselor that work on my mental and my well-being and everything that all the back issue. I grew up with that kind of household, that it happened again, it's repeated, right? So a cycle. How does it end? Is it repeated cycle or it ends with me? So I began to rebuild trust by going deep. We have a very hard conversation. And because we are navigated by a professional counselor that helps us have both me and my husband work through the very, very difficult conversation. So we slowly get better and then slowly build the trust, try slowly to forgive. So again, there's one big thing that my counselor prescribed to us is we made time for each other again. In marriage, you have to intentionally make time for each other. And date night is sacred space where you reconnect without distraction. For the past 12 years, we don't have date night. No date night for us. And don't need, ma. I don't need. I see you every day. Why would I need date night? Like, how many of you have a weekly date night? Yeah, good. So we did it, and it's really, really helpful because now that we really can communicate better each other. So in the end, after the pain 2 years going on slowly, we come out from this marriage crisis victoriously. And I think this is also part of my story because you have to go through the pain in order to help others. And this is what I get before, like months before this thing happened. I got the revelation that I need to go through the pain in order to help others. So I want to recap. Knowing what are the factors that influence your decision. How do you choose your partner and all, and every choice have consequences. And communicate is not the same as talking, and the connection is a result of being vulnerable in your communication. And we also learn about common mistake in marriage and understand what blocks deep connection. And there's also a strategy to learn to move forward. So if you know anyone that also goes through the same hard situation, or even maybe you are in the situations that hopefully I can transfer my courage to you, then hope is still there, not lost. Sometimes when you go through a certain kind of challenge, you feel hopeless. And when you are still in your corner, you don't know who to talk to, and you are alone, left alone. But together, you can come out from it. You can connect with me. This is my Instagram. Or if you want to connect with me through WhatsApp, if you want to share maybe your marriage issue. I'm not a counselor. I can connect you to marriage counselor, or Lillian can help you in the counseling. But first, before we have a good marriage or good relationship, we ourselves have to be whole first. Thank you. Thank you so much.